What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are going to cover a Deadpool storyline. And the reason why, because I sat down and realized we haven't covered a lot of Deadpool on my channel. But on top of that, when I sat down in my library and looked at the different Deadpool stories I had, for some reason, I chose this one. I don't know why, but I felt like we should totally talk about it. Deadpool versus Hawkeye. Now, in the 2010s, Marvel gave Deadpool a lot of these books where he fought against someone. Carnage, Gambit, Black Panther, The Punisher. And so when it came to this one, honestly, this right here was not a surprise when Marvel announced this one. Now, with that being said, even though the book is called Deadpool versus Hawkeye, really, these two characters only fight for about 2 pages, and then they do work together, like most versus books do. You know, oh my god, we have 2 heroes fighting against each other, but then they work together to stop the bad guy. Now, the bad guy in this book is actually Black Cat, because around this moment in Marvel Comics, Black Cat was trying to become the new kingpin of crime of New York. And so with her trying all these different things, she did have a lot of run-ins with other characters besides Spider-Man. And this book right here is just another example of her running into 2 characters who are not Spider-Man, Hawkeye and Deadpool. And so these 2 characters have to work together to technically stop Black Cat from getting something she actually wants. And so getting into today's storyline, we actually do pick up with Deadpool versus Hawkeye number 0. Now, when it comes to this book, we actually do pick up with a character known as Jeremy. Now, when it comes to Jeremy, he's technically freaking out right now because apparently he did something bad that got him involved with the mob. Now, we have no idea what he did, but apparently there is some very valuable information on the USB he just took out of his computer. Either way, with him freaking out, he realized that he should do some good before he is killed off by the mob. And so right before he leaves his apartment, he makes sure to take his cat and give his cat over to his neighbor and try to tell the neighbor that he'll be back. But honestly, he knows that there is a high chance he will not be coming back, which means that she now has to take care of this cat. Now, this cat is going to be very important for this storyline. But then we transition over to Hawkeye. And right now it's actually Halloween in this book. And so right now you do have some children out there trick-or-treating and trying to get the good candy. Now, rumors had it that apparently Hawkeye did give out the big size candy, but unfortunately this time he's giving out the fun size candy. And when it comes to the kids, they don't honestly like that. Instead, they want the king size candy. Now, of course, after you have some kids leave being upset at Hawkeye, well, that is the moment you do have Deadpool arrive with his wife and also his daughter. Yes, a lot of people forget that Deadpool is actually a parent. Now, with them is also his wife's family as well, who's just in town. And so, of course, you do have a bunch of kids in this group who's there right now to trick or treat. Now, I really do like what the book did right here as a way to remind us that when it comes to Hawkeye, he is hard of listening. And so without his hearing aid, unfortunately, he can't hear anyone speak unless he does look at your mouth because he's able to read lips. Now, I also like the idea that he does know sign language, and there's someone in Deadpool group who does know how to use sign language as a way to communicate. Now, with that being said, you also have Deadpool kind of show us that he does like Hawkeye, but Hawkeye doesn't like Deadpool. And even when Deadpool keeps pushing the idea of like, hey man, I heard the rumors that you have king size candies, where they at? You have Hawkeye get upset again because the kids earlier made fun of him for not having king size candies, and now you have Deadpool here as well making fun of him. So it kind of shows that Deadpool is still that ignoring character, but at the same time, Hawkeye hates Deadpool. And so you do have Hawkeye just close the door on Deadpool and his family and goes back inside his apartment. And later on that night, we actually do pick up with Jeremy going over to the apartment of Hawkeye. And the reason why, because it's well known in that area of New York that Hawkeye lives there. He's a well-known hero. He's an Avenger, or used to be an Avenger. Either way right now, this is Jeremy saying, listen, even though I heard you're just a reserve Avenger, I feel like you're the best option I have right now when it comes to dealing with this situation with the mob. Now, unfortunately, this is Hawkeye just not wanting to deal with this. And matter of fact, he tells the guy, listen, it seems like you need to call the cops and they can handle this. This right here is not in my pay grade. So unfortunately, I'm not going to help you, and I am going to close the door in your face. Which honestly sucks for Jeremy, because technically Hawkeye was his only hope. Now, right after that, you didn't have Jeremy walk by Deadpool and realize that he is Deadpool. And so what he does next is that he drops a USB in Deadpool's candy bag. Candy bag. Either way though, you didn't have Deadpool realize that, he did drop some coconut candy, which is also nasty, but at the same time, he did drop a USB. Now, you didn't have Deadpool say, you know what? I want to go back to Hawkeye's apartment because I feel like he is holding out of the king-size candy. Now, when Deadpool does go back to the apartment of Hawkeye, right when they walk up to his door, you do have Hawkeye just run out the door. And the reason why, because there were gunshots nearby. Now, you do have Deadpool's wife tell him, hey, listen, you need to go out there and help Hawkeye out because there were gunshots, which means someone got killed possibly, and you need to be a hero. And don't worry, I can watch over our child while you do handle this situation. And so of course you do have Deadpool change into his Deadpool outfit and run outside to see what in the world is going on. Now of course when he gets out there, he does see Hawkeye right now over the dead body of Jeremy. But on top of that, you have Hawkeye being able to capture the person who had killed off Jeremy, who's right now wearing a Halloween costume version of the Punisher. And so that is the moment where we actually do see Deadpool and Hawkeye right now trying to figure out why in the world did this fake Halloween costume Punisher kill off Jeremy for. I mean, technically we know why, because Jeremy was involved with something with the mob, which means that this guy right here must be working for the mob. Now here comes the big problem though. Apparently this guy right now, he seems to be mind controlled. Now before Deadpool and Hawkeye are able to figure out more things, that's the moment where they are attacked by someone else, and this person right now is wearing a Daredevil outfit. And matter of fact, this guy also seems to be mind controlled as well. Now because this Deadpool person did catch Hawkeye off guard, you didn't have Deadpool realize that Hawkeye needs help. The problem is though, as soon as Deadpool takes his eyes off the fake Punisher guy, the fake Punisher guy is able to get back into the fight. And so it does lead into a big battle between Deadpool, Hawkeye, and the fake Punisher guy. The fake Daredevil guy does get away somehow, but either way, you now have a three-way battle. Now, like I said earlier, the fake Punisher guy right now, he seems to be mind controlled, but the problem is though, we have no idea who is technically mind controlling him. I mean, technically we do. I told y'all earlier, the bad guy of this book is actually Black Cat. Either way right now, you do have Deadpool and Hawkeye working together to try to capture this fake Punisher guy. The problem is though, right when Hawkeye is about to be able to grab the guy or actually shoot him with an arrow, well, that is the moment where you do have our fake Punisher guy walk right in front of a truck and gets run over to kill himself off. So just in case he does get captured, he will not be able to share any kind of information at all. And so that is the moment where you do have the two characters being able to regroup. Now, when they do regroup, it is technically Hawkeye right now just gathering some information that he missed while fighting against the fake Punisher guy that Deadpool has saw. We kind of find out that Hawkeye did not even see the fake Daredevil guy who was there as well, who got away, but Deadpool did. Now, of course, they're trying to figure out what in the world was Jeremy up to? Like, yes, he was involved with the mob, but what was he doing with the mob? Or what was he doing for the mob? Either way right now, you kind of have the book show us that Hawkeye really doesn't want to work with Deadpool at all. Like literally, he just wished that Deadpool just disappeared because the Hawkeye, he should be able to handle this situation because it's Hawkeye. He was an Avenger for a very long time. He has been in so many tight spots. This right here is honestly not that big than what he's used to. Either way, you have Deadpool kind of like, no, I am going to stick around to help out with this investigation to figure out what in the world was Jeremy actually up to. Now that is the moment where you do have Deadpool and Hawkeye go back to Hawkeye's apartment. Now, once they do arrive at his apartment, that is the moment where you have Deadpool look inside his basket where he finds a USB. And let's not forget that earlier, Jeremy did drop the USB in Deadpool's basket. Now, with that being said though, you did have Hawkeye grab the USB and plug it into his computer. And that is the moment where we do see that there was a video left behind by Jeremy. And in that video, you technically have Jeremy saying that what he did was he hacked into S.H.I.E.L.D. and he was actually able to get the entire list of active S.H.I.E.L.D. agents across the world and all their information as well. Now that is huge, but on top of that, that means he was going to hand that information over to the mob, but unfortunately he did not. And of course, they did not like that. And now with that being said, you have Hawkeye tell Deadpool that he will handle this situation by himself because Hawkeye really doesn't like Deadpool at all. But at the same time, you have Deadpool say, no, I need to solve this case because my daughter, her mother is actually a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, which means that her information right now is out there for the world to grab. And so no, I need to technically help out with this case. Now, you do have Deadpool and Hawkeye fight against one another. And the reason why, because Deadpool tried to knock out Hawkeye, but unfortunately failed. And with him failing, you do have Hawkeye get very upset and begin to fight against Deadpool. And that is the moment where we kind of find out that one of the bad guys of this storyline is a character known as Dr. Lusk. And apparently Dr. Lusk was the one who was actually able to technically find a way to mind control people. And right now, he is working for the Black Cat. Now, we have no idea what her plan is, but apparently she does want that USB that's right now holding all the information of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents across the world, the active S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. And so when we jump into Deadpool versus Hawkeye #1, we actually do pick up right now with Typhoid Mary. Now, when it comes to Typhoid Mary, she is actually a very interesting character. And the reason why, because Typhoid Mary is actually a Daredevil villain, but she also has the ability to set fires with her mind. But on top of that, she does have a personality disorder. Now, when it comes to Typhoid Mary, she's also right now getting some help from Black Cat out of a legal situation. Now, once Black Cat is able to get Typhoid Mary out of that legal situation, she now works for Black Cat. And so you do have Black Cat tell Typhoid Mary, listen, I need your help right now and figure out what in the world is going on. Because one of the henchmen that works for Black Cat just told her that her fake Punisher guy, who she had mind controlled thanks to Dr. Lusk, well, apparently he was killed off right in front of the apartments of Hawkeye, which means that now Hawkeye is involved, an Avenger. And so right now you have Black Cat telling Typhoid Mary and also her henchmen, I need you to right now to go to that apartment complex and find that USB where Mr. Jeremy had died at, because we need that USB that right now holds all the information of different S.H.I.E.L.D. agents across the world. And Black Cat's going to stay behind and kind of cover their tracks. Now we do jump over to Deadpool and Hawkeye. Now when we do, is Deadpool and Hawkeye no longer fighting against one another. Now that is the moment where you do actually have Kate Bishop appear. Now remember, Kate Bishop is the second Hawkeye to come after Clint. And matter of fact, when he was dead, that was the moment where she actually took up the mantle. Now of course they both use the same code name, but either way right now, she's just here to make sure Clinton's okay because she heard what happened in his area. Now, this is the first moment for her to actually see Deadpool without his mask. And honestly, for Kate, she feels like his face is very disgusting, which honestly it is. And matter of fact, she tells him, "You should have been Freddy Krueger for Halloween." Now, that is the moment where you do have Clint actually catch up Kate about what is happening right now. And right now they realize that the USB they have is just a video. And so they have to find another USB that has all the shield information on it and to hopefully get it before the bad guys do. The problem is though, they have no idea where the USB is actually at. And they believe it could be at Jeremy's apartment. The problem is though, they have no idea where he lives. Now, you did have Deadpool say they should go over to the morgue and look over the dead body of the fake Punisher guy to see that if there is any kind of information about him on the dead body so that they have a lead to go with. And so you do have Deadpool and Hawkeye finally agree to work together, but to head over to the morgue to look over the dead body of the fake Punisher guy. And so when we do see Deadpool and Hawkeye go over to the morgue, unfortunately you do have the coroner tell them, "Hey, you're not going inside at all. I don't care if you are an Avenger, an X-Men, or even a Fantastic Four member. You are not going inside at all." Now, of course, with being Deadpool, you do have Deadpool knock out the coroner. And for Hawkeye, he's kind of like, this is not what I expected. But that's the thing though, when you work with Deadpool, you have to realize a lot of different things are going to happen that you usually don't expect to happen when you're doing a team up. Either way, you do have Deadpool and Hawkeye go inside the morgue. And of course they do find the dead body of the fake Punisher guy. And when they do find a last known address. And so of course they're going to use that information as a way to figure out what in the world is going on. Who did this guy actually work for? Now, when we jump over to Kate Bishop, we actually see her right now looking over the video that Deadpool and Hawkeye looked at earlier. Now, when it comes to that video, of course, remember, it's Jeremy telling anyone who watched the video what he did. But then you have Kate Bishop realize that the background, she actually knows where that background is at. And so her goal right now is to go to that location and try to figure out which apartment belongs to him. Because if she's able to figure out which apartment is his, then maybe she'll be able to find the actual USB that everyone is looking for. Now we do pick up with Deadpool and also Hawkeye, who then go over to a random warehouse. Now when it comes to this random warehouse, it's actually not random. Matter of fact, when they went to the morgue and looked over the dead body of the fake Punisher, the address they got off of him led them to this building right here. And of course, this building belongs to Black Cat because the guy, the fake Punisher, had worked for her under her control. Now with that being said, right now you have Black Cat trying to burn down the building as a way to cover her tracks, to make sure there's no way any of this can get traced back to her. Unfortunately, she hears the voices of Deadpool and Hawkeye. And so that is the moment where she does release more people who are technically under her control to fight against Deadpool and Hawkeye. Now, while you have everybody fighting against one another, well, that is the moment where you do have Hawkeye actually find Black Cat. And he realized that Black Cat's the one who is technically in charge of this whole operation. The problem is though, because of the fight, he's pulled away from Black Cat, letting her get away. Really, the reason why she does get away is because of Deadpool. Because you have Deadpool say, you know what? There are too many people in the room right now, and we need to knock everybody out. Now, with the sprinklers being on and of course leaving puddles on the ground, you have Deadpool say, you know what? Let me go ahead and electrocute everyone in the room as a way to knock them out, which of course he does. But the problem is though, it also includes Hawkeye. And for some strange reason, you have Deadpool say, you know what? If Hawkeye got knocked out, I should also get knocked out. And so he technically electrocute himself as well to be along with Hawkeye, which of course let Black Cat get away. Now, when we do check up with Kate Bishop, we kind of find out that she was able to figure out which apartment actually belonged to Jeremy. Now, when she does break into his apartment, well, that is the moment where a gun is pointed to her head. And of course, that gun belongs to a random S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Now, at first, she had no idea it was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. But either way, once she was able to take him down and he was able to tell her who he is, he's all like, yes, I'm a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. And matter of fact, my name is Scott Adsit. I am a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Which of course you have Kate say, oops, I just attacked a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Hopefully I don't get arrested. Now that is the moment where we do jump over to Deadpool and Hawkeye. Now when we do, they are technically just waking up right now after being knocked out thanks to, of course, Deadpool's dumb move. Now with that being said though, once they do wake up, you then have the police arrive at the scene, which means that now Deadpool and Hawkeye have to explain what in the world happened here, but then after that, they have to hurry up and figure out where in the world did Black Cat go to, and to hopefully capture her and stop her before anything else could possibly happen. Now we do kind of find out that apparently right after Hawkeye and Deadpool had talked to the police, a few hours later, you do have Deadpool dropping off Hawkeye at his apartment. The problem is though, when Hawkeye goes into his apartment, he realized that something has happened to his door, meaning that someone is inside his place. But right when Hawkeye does walk into his apartment, well, that is the moment he is confronted by someone and we have no idea who that person actually is. Now, when we jump into Deadpool versus Hawkeye number 2, we actually do pick up right now with Hawkeye and Deadpool and also Kate going to a very important meeting. Now, this section actually takes place before Hawkeye went home to his apartment, but it does take place after Deadpool and Hawkeye left that warehouse that belonged to Black Cat. Either way, when we actually pick up with the 3 characters right now going to this special meeting, we kind of find out that technically at the moment it's going to be a task force meeting. And the reason why, because right now you have FBI, CIA, and also S.H.I.E.L.D. coming together to figure out where in the world is this USB. Because we kind of find out the USB that Jeremy made was not in his apartment at all. And so right now the big question is, where in the world is the USB? And so that is the main goal for everyone in the room at the moment. Now we kind of find out that Hawkeye did tell everyone else, FBI, S.H.I.E.L.D., and whoever else is there, that technically Black Cat is involved, that Black Cat's the one who wants that USB. The problem is though, she also doesn't know where the USB is actually at. And so right now to everyone, the USB is just out there somewhere. And of course, they have to find it first before Black Cat does. Now, with that being said, you do also have Hawkeye saying we need to go ahead and remove Black Cat, meaning that we need to capture her. And so right now you have Hawkeye say, let's focus on that first. Let's go ahead and set up a trap as a way to capture her. And then once she is removed out of our problems, we can then go out there and try to find the USB that Jeremy had made. And so when we jump over to Black Cat, we kind of find out that apparently Black Cat has been looking for the cell phone that belonged to Jeremy. And the reason why, because they believe that his cell phone could actually lead them over to where the other USB is at, or possibly any information about the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that Jeremy collected could also be on the cell phone as well. Now, at first, Black Cat's team believed the cell phone was lost for good, But of course now the cell phone had apparently turned back on. And when they had listened into the last conversation on the phone, it seemed like Jeremy had another buyer. And so right now you have Black Cat telling her team, go out there, find this buyer, kill him, but also find this seller as well and kill him as well, not knowing that this is actually a trap being set up by Hawkeye and the others. And so that is the moment where we do jump over to Deadpool, Hawkeye, and also Kate Bishop, where right now you do have the three characters trying to set up a trap as a way to capture Black Cat, but to also capture the people who work along with her. Now, of course, while you have the three characters trying to set this trap up, well, unfortunately, this trap does not go in their way. And the reason why, because even though Black Cat did believe in the idea that Jeremy did have another buyer, it's also Black Cat kind of saying, this could also be a trap as well. And so you do have Typhoid Mary and also the other guy who works for Black Cat go into the area where the trap was set up at. And while you had Kate Bishop and Deadpool try to stop those two guys, you have Black Cat being able to sneak up on Clint, because Clint was watching from a distance, but unfortunately was not watching his back. And so this leads into a battle between all 6 characters, but unfortunately our heroes actually lose. And Black Cat was able to get away, but to also realize that she was right. It was a trap that was set up by Hawkeye and also Kate Bishop and Deadpool. Now you do have Deadpool, Hawkeye, and also Kate Bishop go back over to the apartment that belongs to Deadpool as a way to kind of chill out for the time being until they're able to get another lead that can actually help them locate Black Cat and to hopefully stop her. Now, I kind of like this moment right here because this is the moment you technically have both of the Hawkeyes realize that even though Deadpool is a very interesting character, he still has a somewhat normal life, like being a father and trying to raise his daughter. Now, of course, while you do have all 3 characters kind of bonding and you do have the Hawkeyes beginning the process of actually liking Deadpool, well, that is the moment where you do have a few ghosts walk through his apartment, because when it comes to Deadpool, his apartment is haunted with a few ghosts. And of course, that freaks out both of the Hawkeyes and they run out of his apartment. Either way, you didn't have both of the Hawkeyes kind of say, maybe we should leave Deadpool here, because every time we bring him and we try to go after Black Cat, we technically failed because of him. Either way, that is the moment where we kind of find out that Kate Bishop was able to figure out that Jeremy is actually a cat person, or was a cat person before he died. And so right then and there, she realized, hey, where's the cat? Because the cat might be the way to us figuring out where in the world the other USB is actually at. And so you have Deadpool and also the 2 Hawkeyes get in a car and head over to where Jeremy lived to see if any of the neighbors actually have the cat that belonged to Jeremy. And so you do have our 2 Hawkeyes actually go over to the apartment building that Jeremy used to live in. And of course, they begin the process of asking the neighbors if anyone has his cat. And of course, we come to find out it's the old lady who has his cat. And matter of fact, this is why I said this cat is going to be very important for this storyline, because we come to find out the cat collar is actually holding another USB. This is the USB that Deadpool and Hawkeye was actually looking for. And so once our heroes were able to find this USB, it's kind of like, okay, cool, we can now celebrate. Except that is the moment where you have Clint take out Kate and also take out Deadpool and leave with the other USB. And it seems like he is technically being controlled by Black Cat. And so when we jump into the 3rd issue, we kind of find out that technically after Hawkeye came home that night to his apartment, and remember, when he came home to his apartment, he saw someone inside his apartment. Now, we had no idea who it was, but of course it was a trap. And of course, it was a trap by Dr. Lusk. And so right now it makes sense on why Hawkeye is right now attacking Deadpool and also Kate Bishop in the present day. Because once he came home to his apartment, he was technically knocked out and given the same kind of procedure to basically control his mind. And so right now, technically Hawkeye is working for Black Cat. Now, of course, when we jump back over to the present day, you now have Deadpool and also Kate Bishop working together to hopefully bring in Hawkeye. Because right now you have Hawkeye being in control of Black Cat, but also holding on to the USB that of course they just found that has all the important information of different active SHIELD agents across the world. And so right now you do have Kate Bishop and Deadpool work together. Now here comes the problem though, because right now they're fighting against Hawkeye. And Hawkeye is a great fighter, but also a great archer as well. But he also knows how to get out of situations if it gets too hot in that area, meaning that if it does get too tough for him, he knows to escape. Now we also have to remember what we saw earlier when it came to our fake Punisher guy, because what we saw earlier with fake Punisher is that once Hawkeye was about to capture him, he technically killed himself off so that there's no way he'll be able to give any kind of information over to Hawkeye. And so right now, with Hawkeye being mind controlled just like he was by Black Cat, when Deadpool and Kate Bishop are about to actually grab Hawkeye, he's about to kill himself. And so Deadpool and Kate Bishop have no choice but to back away. Because with them backing away, of course now, Clint will not kill himself. But at the same time, it's Deadpool and Kate saying, we have to let him go, but to hopefully find out where he goes to, and then hopefully we can save him, but still be able to actually stop Black Cat as well. Now, when we jump over to Black Cat, you do have Black Cat right now ticked off. And the reason why she is so ticked off, because technically, when it comes to this entire operation, it's on the verge of actually falling apart thanks to Hawkeye and Deadpool. Now, when it comes to Black Cat, when she looks at Deadpool and also Hawkeye, she looks at them as junior varsity Avengers, meaning that they're not the big time Avengers like Thor or Iron Man or Captain America. Instead, they're the low level Avengers, and right now they're about to ruin her entire operation. Now, she has no idea that technically at the moment, she's in full control of Hawkeye. Except when Hawkeye walks in and says, hey, listen, I have the USB for you, my master. That is the moment she realized, oh my gosh, I have Hawkeye under my control. And so when we actually jump back over to Deadpool and also Kate Bishop, we do see them right now meeting with a guy known as Mr. Mantle. Now, when it comes to Mr. Mantle, he is technically an arms dealer, and so of course he is selling weapons. And right now it's Deadpool saying, I will buy every single weapon you have because we need a lot of weapons to be able to actually stop the Black Cat. Now, he does give Kate Bishop a bazooka, and honestly, when it comes to Kate Bishop, she hates the idea of having something so powerful in her arms that could just blow things up. And so right now, she just wants to use her bow and arrows. But then you have Deadpool say, no, you need to use these weapons as a way to help me out down the road. Because on the outside of the building that belongs to Black Cat, there is a generator. If you're able to actually hit that generator, that means the entire power in that building goes off, which also means she'll be unable to actually access the USB like she wants to. And so I need you to do that because it will then cause a distraction long enough for me to jump in and to hopefully save the day. And so right now it's Kate Bishop realizing she has no choice but to actually use the bazooka. And so that is the moment where we actually pick up with Deadpool's plan, because when we do jump over to Black Cat, you have her right now about to access the USB by plugging into her computer. Now here's the thing though, because right when she's about to plug it in, well, that is the moment where you do have Kate Bishop just go ahead and fire her bazooka right into the generator that belongs to Black Cat's building, which means right now Black Cat's building does not have any power, which also means her computer cannot turn on, which means that she cannot access the USB. And so right now she's very ticked off. Here's the catch though, because with the building right now being turned off, that also means that the machine that's being used right now to mind control the different people is also no longer working. So right now Hawkeye is no longer under her control. The problem is though, Hawkeye has to play it cool, because if he shows that he is no longer in control, then they'll kill him off very easily. Now on top of that, you didn't have Deadpool go to a random shed or a random warehouse that belongs to Hawkeye and the Avengers, because apparently he is going to ride something that belongs to Hawkeye when Hawkeye first appeared in Marvel Comics. And of course, that would be his flying scooter. It was something we saw Hawkeye use a lot of times in the early days of the Avengers when Hawkeye was on the team. Either way, it's Deadpool right now breaking into this Avengers storage room to get this flying scooter to be able to actually use it as a way to save Hawkeye, but to also stop Black Cat as well. And so getting into the final chapter of this storyline, the first half of the 5th chapter is really just Clint Barton, Kate Bishop, and also Deadpool working together to technically stop Black Cat. Now, at first, it's just Clint by himself, because of course, once the mind control had been dropped, you didn't have Clint try to technically stop Black Cat by himself. The problem is though, it's just him right now against a bunch of guys with guns. But on top of that, when it comes to Black Cat, she knows that Hawkeye is not a killer. And matter of fact, she thinks the arrows are not going to do any kind of harm at all. The problem is though, these are arrows. They can still do harm in some kind of way. Now you do have Kate Bishop jump in to technically help Hawkeye out, but the problem is though, when she does jump in, yes she does help out, but there's still more guys with guns over them 2 people with arrows. Now of course the big question is though, where is Deadpool? Because right now Kate Bishop and also Clint Barton need some help at the moment. And you do have Deadpool come in also with the flying scooter to kind of help out with this situation, but of course it's Deadpool, so technically he makes things worse. But either way, you do have our heroes being able to actually work together. And so as we go through the first few pages of the 5th chapter with Deadpool, Clint Barton, and also Kate Bishop fighting against Black Cat and her forces, they were actually able to stop Black Cat, but also be able to get the USB drive away from her so that she'll never have the ability of learning all the different information about the active SHIELD agents across the world. Now, while you have our heroes being able to get the USB back, big question is right now, can they get Black Cat? Now, Black Cat does try to leave out the front door. The problem is though, by the time she gets down there, and she also kills off Dr. Lusk, but either way though, once she gets down there, SHIELD agents and FBI have arrived at the scene, and of course, they had arrested her. And so of course, it seems like the day has been saved. Now, after a couple hours have passed by, we kind of find out that Black Cat technically got away. Because when you have Deadpool, Hawkeye, really both Hawkeyes, go to the police car that she was placed in, they kind of find out that technically she somehow switched herself out of there with some random person and Black Cat got away. And so unfortunately, Black Cat can continue on with her goal of becoming the kingpin of crime of New York. And of course you have Deadpool and Hawkeye upset by it, but at the same time though, at least they were able to get the USB away from her. And so the book kind of ends on a high note where you do have Deadpool saying goodbye to Clint and also saying goodbye to Kate. And when they do say goodbye to one another, it really shows that the bond has been built between both Hawkeyes with Deadpool. Because at first, remember guys, They did not like Deadpool at all. But now that all has changed, they now look at Deadpool as somebody different now. Like, yes, he may do a lot of stupid things, but at the same time, he's still someone you can count on who will always try to have your back. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.